So we got to the hill just as you, above the boat harbor, as you come down toward town, and Ernie Mills was out there directing traffic. And he said, we've just had a tidal wave. We're about to have another one. Get up to high ground. I said, can I go through? He says, go. So I went through, and down through the middle of town, I noticed the streets were wet. And some of the sidewalks were kind of turned around where some of the little restaurants used to be. And the building or two I noticed as I drove through was dislodged out of place. So we went up and parked by the Griffin Memorial Building and began to watch the action. And by then the second wave was coming through, I guess. And that's the one that flooded the downtown, which we didn't see until the morning after, the next morning, that night. But we walked out there to see it. But we parked there and we watched the water movement rising fast through the channel, and pretty soon we saw boats drifting out into the channel, and then we saw buildings. I don't know, some of the houses, window deep, waving back and forth, just quietly floating out to sea. And boats would be unmanned, circling around and bumping something once in a while, either each other or a house or something. It was also went out to sea. It was an awesome, eerie, quiet sound. Sight. You'd hear the creaking and the groaning of things, and all of a sudden a pop as the water would float stuff off their moorings. And that's when the Donnelly Atchison building, they had a big store right out in front. There was a piling pier straight out where now the ferry dock is. That's released. That's all been filled in now. They were down at water level, and there was quite a big store complex there, industrial store. And all that floated away. When the wave was done, all he saw was the tops, was those stumps. Nothing else was there. They all floated out.
Got here the 17th. My birthday was the 21st. I turned 10, and the earthquake was the 27th. So that's a real big trauma in my life. Again, it wasn't new for me, even though I'd come from California and there was earthquakes here. I never felt one, but it certainly was a big one, because I remember just kind of standing there, keeping my balance and watching things shake. My father, in fact, was working out on base, and he had to come to town. And he tells a story about being in the dip, what was called the dip. That's where the slide area is. But anyway, the story goes he was driving through the dip when the waves came in, and they jumped out of the truck to climb up Pillar Mountain. Mm-hmm. The inland side, and the wave came and picked up the truck with the doors open, in fact. And when the wave receded, it put the truck back down in about the same position. They jumped in and shut the doors and continued. But he says that he never climbed the mountain, so that's his life.
There's a terrific backwash before the big wave really hit. And when it hit, you fill those buildings up plumb full. Then when the backwash pulled it back out again, the buildings just collapsed from the inside out. The water pressure just busted the walls out and down they went. And stirred them up, and then the boats, good-sized boats, 80, 90-foot boats up through town, floating all over the place. I was going to mention, while I was running up the hill and looked over my shoulder, there was a power scow, about 85 to 90 foot, belonged to Alaska Packers Association, and it was orange and black. Now they draw around 9 foot of water. What is Dog Bay now used to have a solid piece of land across where they opened up a channel for boats. I saw that power scow go clear over the top of that thing. And when he did, when he landed on the other side, the old boy figured out where he was, and he dropped anchor immediately, because he knew he was protected in that key slot. The wave was coming in off of Long Island and Valdez, Marmot Bay type country, or Marmot Island type, coming in hitting us. But anyway, I saw that scow go over there, and I also saw the Sunrise roll. And it's a large steel boat. Bobby Jones, I'm hardly sure was his last name. he was on the back of the Sunrise, and Ole Harder was taking that thing and heading out the channel when she rolled. And the boat popped back up, and Bobby was no more to be seen. We never saw him since, didn't find his body or nothing. And Mary Anderson, the woman I hollered at, and the kid that I hollered at, I still don't know the child's name. They found that boat off of what is now King Crab Dock. Some divers found the boat. Down in there, they went back into the lazarette, and her body had been washed back into the lazarette. But that's the only body they found. The town was just really something, just all swirled.